Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about two different distinct kind of diagnostic criteria that people tend to get pretty confused and that a lot of you have been asking me to talk about on this channel, and that is what is the difference between gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia. This is especially helpful if you're a younger viewer, maybe about 18 and up, who's finding it really confusing to kind of separate your personal experience and what you're going through, and whether what you're going through really falls in the category of gender dysphoria or if it really falls in the category of body dysmorphia, and where do you draw the line. So I really want to help you to distinguish the two and to help point out to you what is the fundamental difference, because they are very different two things, and there is a fundamental little thing in between that tends to separate the two. So let's talk about body dysmorphia and what that is. Body dysmorphia is, it's basically it actually comes from a branch of obsessive compulsive disorders, and that is ongoing preoccupation with a particular body part. Because you perceive it as flawed or you perceive it as defective. You just maybe don't like that body part or how it looks. And preoccupation is lasting you for a period of time to the point where it's starting to cause you quite a bit of distress and starts to interfere with your daily living. Now, this preoccupation cannot be accounted by eating disorders, or cannot also be accounted by other things such as perhaps a person is overweight or struggling with weight. It has to be the type of thing that as an individual has to only think that is defective and a flaw within their own subjective point of view. So for example, if an observer were to look in and to look at the part of the body that the person thinks is defective, that observer most likely would say, are you crazy? That body part is completely normal and completely fine. But to you as an individual struggling with body dysmorphia, that part of body is completely flawed or defective. So as a result, you get into this kind of OCD habit of constantly looking at yourself in the mirror, checking yourself, being obsessed with that body part, a lot of times to the point where people feel a need to surgically modify that body part. So that's body dysmorphia. Whereas gender dysphoria, part of gender dysphoria, apart from other criteria, is preoccupation with particular body parts because they communicate to the world secondary sex characteristics of a gender you're not comfortable with being. That's a huge, huge difference between gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia. So let me give you an example. And this is kind of a cliche example. It's what I can think about right now. And that is a woman that dislikes her breasts. She dislikes her breasts maybe because they're droopy, or she dislikes her breasts because they're too large or not big enough. And as a result, she sees them as defective or flawed, and she becomes incredibly preoccupied with her breasts to the point where she wants to surgically alter them. She constantly checks herself in the mirror. She feels uncomfortable wearing maybe a particular type of clothing because she sees that part of her body as defective. Versus a person that is also preoccupied with their breasts. But they're preoccupied with their breasts because every time they look down at their breasts are a reminder of a gender they don't feel comfortable with. The breasts, as secondary sex characteristics, communicate to the world and to people around them that they are female, right? And as a result, the person is feeling a lot of internal tension and distress leading up to gender dysphoria. So you see how it's a similar example, whereas in one case, this woman is very comfortable with her gender. She's incredibly comfortable with being female. She just doesn't like her breasts and preoccupied because she sees them as defective or flawed or just not perfect enough in her mind. Whereas over here, we have a person that, was born in terms of their biology and their assigned gender at birth, female, somebody who doesn't really like their breasts and preoccupied with them, not because of the defect they see with them, but exactly because they communicate genders they don't feel comfortable with. And that is a big, big fundamental difference. And that's actually a very huge difference between the two. Now, some people tend to ask me at what point with some trans people does gender dysphoria ends and then body dysmorphia begins. And this is a very, very fascinating subject because I have observed some of the people struggling with that, where you kind of go through gender transition and you perhaps alleviated or gotten rid completely of your dysphoria, and as a result, now you're getting a little bit more obsessed with your body, where you see it as being defective or not perfect enough or flawed. And that's highly possible, and that does happen. And I will do a different video talking about those two. But for the sake of this video, let's just stick to what separates really body dysmorphia and gender dysphoria. And keep in mind, the biggest difference is that whether your preoccupation with the body part is just because of how it looks, or if your preoccupation to a particular body part because of the particular genders that is being assigned to that body part based on our current cultural societal norms. And that's what really makes the difference between gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia. So if you're watching this, and if you're somebody who doesn't really like particular body parts, maybe even you don't like aspects of your hips or aspects of your shoulders or your arms, and you're thinking, oh my god, I must be transgender because I don't like my body. No, that doesn't necessarily constitute you as somebody who may identify as transgender. That just means you are a person who doesn't like that body part. A lot of people are not comfortable with their body. A lot of people go through a process of even modifying their bodies. That doesn't necessarily put them in the category of transgender individuals. Transgender people feel incongruence with those body parts, again, because of the genders that it tends to communicate to the world. So that's the biggest difference. Now, if you have experienced confusion between the two, comment below, let me know how you dispelled that confusion, what was helpful to you. If you're somebody that clearly knew from the outset that for you it was truly gender dysphoria and not body dysmorphia, comment below and share as well. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.